Should we get started now?
Please.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome. My name is Ruijun Xu. I'm assistant professor in the Department of Material Science and Engineering at North Carolina State University. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the graduate program virtual info session organized by the NC State Material Science and Engineering Department. So now I'm pleased to introduce this session. Doc, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, so today we will first have Professor Rajiv Gupta, who is currently associate professor in the MSc department, share with you his perspective about why you should get a PhD in material science and engineering. Following that, we will have Professor Doug Arvin, who's currently the director of the MSc graduate program, give you an introduction about the overview of the NC State MSc PhD program. Also today, we will have a student panel with our current material science engineering graduate students, Benny Liu, Chrissy Vilchitz, Matthew Chaknott, Richard Gilman. They will share with you their experience as a PhD student in our department. And we will also have a Q&A session at the end of the info session to answer any question you might have for our program. So during this session, please feel free to type any question you might have in the chat box, and we will answer them all together at the end. So now we will have a presentation from Professor Rajiv Gupta to share with you about why he thinks you should get a PhD in MSc. Now, Rajiv, I will switch this to you. Okay, please take it away.
Thank you, Professor Shu. I'll go to the next slide, maybe. Yeah. So my name is Rajiv Gupta. I'm an associate professor in MSc. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to some of you. We are different in time zones, so thank you all for joining us today. And I'll briefly talk about why should we obtain a PhD in MSc. But before that, I believe that all of you know a little bit about research and a little bit about the PhD. I think that's why you're here. And I understand that you all have a number of career choices at this stage. And then why PhD and why PhD in MSc, right? So I think I don't need to talk about that much, but during PhD, you know that you learn more about what you're really passionate about. You try to understand why things happen in a certain way, right? You give yourself the tools to make significant contribution to a specific field. In the long term, the skill sets you develop during PhD enable you to be leader, thinker, creative, and create new research directions and make really significant contributions to technology and society, because that becomes like a big goal of a whole PhD. During this PhD program, you get opportunity to go deep in your chosen MSc research topic for several years. So you have a lot of time to learn, make mistakes, learn from them. The project you would work on would be really new. They would be really addressing current technical needs. They are funded from some agencies who really wants to answer some of the technological challenges we're facing. So you really work at the frontiers of MSc discipline during this time. You will work directly with your PhD advisor and meet your advisor very frequently. So you get really good mentorship during this program. Your PhD community usually consists of several professors. So you would have a direct contact, direct mentorship from several professors. Additionally, you work with the senior PhD students, you work with the postdocs. That gives kind of opportunity to kind of broaden your research field, get the mentorship from senior people. At the same time, you also have opportunity to mentor junior researchers. You will have some undergraduate students working in the lab or the junior graduate students. So you really get a lot of opportunities, which really helps you in your overall career growth. You will have access to state-of-the-art resources. NC State has really nice characterization facilities. So I'm probably not going to talk about all those different technologies, different facilities we have available, but you really get like world-class facilities. We have high-end characterization tools such as advanced modern TEMs. We have lots of secondary ion mass spectroscopy tools. We have SEMs. We also have really good modern advanced manufacturing technologies. So you have access to really state-of-the-art resources depending on what your needs are, what your project are. And good part is that you kind of learning these things. You're taking the classes. You're learning so many things. And the good thing is that you don't have to pay any tuition for that. We pay tuition for that. You also get a stipend that might not be huge, but you get stipend there, which is enough, I guess, to live comfortably and enjoy your research. I remember when undergraduate student in my lab, I asked him if he wants to do PhD, and he was, well, I really like the research. I want to do it, but it's just that I don't want to pay the tuition. And I was like, well, you get a tuition and you also get a stipend. And he turned out really good student. We pay your health insurance too. So it's kind of you learn new things and you don't have to pay anything. So I'll go to the next slide. And when you're doing PhD, students get opportunities to travel a little bit. You attend several conferences. So the findings you have during your PhD, during your research, you go out and you present that in front of other scientists, and you'll be part of the big scientific community, right? So you're not lost somewhere. You are visible, and yeah. So when you once you graduate, right, your research is really valuable, and the skill sets you develop during your PhD, they really kind of enable you to get job in many places. It's not only the specific research field you work on, but you develop the skill sets which makes you really critical thinker. They make you problem solvers. So you can get jobs in many fields. So you can job in the industry, you can get job in academia, government labs, and so on. So looking at the salary, so if people join, kind of that could be one motivational factor to do a PhD. You see that in after undergraduate, the average salary is like close to $70,000. But after master, it's like 84, and after PhD, the average we have in our department is like $126,000. So that's one motivation. I'll go to the next one. Yeah. So here is a list of some of the industries where our graduate students. I mean, this is just after graduation where they got the jobs and what their titles had been. So I'm not going to talk about all of these, but you see there are some big companies there. We have Apple, Intel, and so on. And not only that. They also get job in the academics in the national labs. So many of the students being the professors after finishing their PhD, many of them join the national labs as postdoctoral fellows or scientists, and they eventually turn to the staff scientists in these national labs and take the leading positions. I'll go to the next slide. Yeah, so looking at the salaries, so this is kind of comparison among all our departments. So these are like students who graduated from other departments, from nuclear, here you see the mechanical and so on. And we see that MSc kind of pretty good in terms of the salary. So this is the data from the graduate students, number of graduate students you see in the second column here. The first column is the departments. And the one you see in the blue, that's the MSc department. And our average being $126,250, which is pretty good. It's just the starting salary after the graduation. I'll go to the next slide. Yeah, so I think one thing kind of matters where you live during the PhD. So Raleigh is really a great place to live in. It was number 6 best place to live in US in 2022 from US News and World Ranking. And Raleigh is really great. I mean, we have a Triangle Park, which has lots of tech companies. So that's a lot of time gives opportunities to kind of collaborate if your projects are relevant to those companies. You can get jobs over there. Raleigh is a very safe place. It's a medium-sized city. And we have lots of eating places around here. So I'm originally from India. So coming in here, I was so happy to see like so many nice Indian restaurants. Really good food around here. We have lots of museums, schools, several good universities, parks, and we have moderate climate. I think that becomes pretty good over here. So I lived in Ohio for a while, and it was really cold in the winter. Coming here in the Raleigh, it's not too cold, not too hot. Like right now, we have beautiful fall colors outside, and the winter not going to be too bad. And cost of living is pretty reasonable, pretty modest over here. So with the stipend you get, you can live comfortably. I'll go to the next slide. Yeah. And in terms of the location, North Carolina in general is a great place to live in. So we are not too far from the beach. You can see one nice photograph on the left. And the right-hand side, there's one photograph from, I think, Blue Ridge Parkway. So we have Smoky Mountains. We have the mountains not far away. So we are kind of in between the mountains and the sea. So in the weekends, you can take a trip either way. Coming to NC State as a university, we are the largest four-year university in the North Carolina. We have 36,000 plus students. We have 10,330 students, 3,470 PhD students. And we are located in Research Triangle area. So close by, we have the Duke University, UNC Chapel Hill, these two big universities close by. We are very close to the RTP area, Research Triangle Park, so that provides opportunities to collaborate with industries. In our university, we have 10 colleges, and we are in College of Engineering. I'll go to the next slide. All right, so in terms of the College of Engineering, you can see the nice building here. This is our brand new building for College of Engineering. And our whole college is in different buildings in Centennial campus, which we'll talk about in a minute. So total enrollment in College of Engineering for undergraduate is 6,390. We have 3,209 graduate students, 372 faculty members. We have 9 departments, and in those plus 3 engineering programs in other colleges. We have 18 Bachelor of Sciences program. We have 21 Master of Sciences, 13 Doctor of Philosophy. And our program, our College of Engineering program is ranked pretty high. You can see those rankings over here. I will probably not highlight all of them, but you can really read them. We are 10th in the research expenditures among US universities. It's 189 million in 2016, which should be a lot more now. And we have several research centers and so on in our college. I'll move to the next one. And we are based in Centennial campus. So Centennial campus is basically a public-private research park. We have 75 corporate, government, and nonprofit offices over here. So we have one building. Our department is in Engineering Building 1. We have 75 NC State research academic units. Small business incubators are in the campus. We have 4 main engineering buildings. We have other research buildings. We have a 75-acre lake, greenway trails. We have a golf course here. So it's pretty nice. It's a beautiful campus. It's a photograph over here. I think it's a little old photograph, but you can see far away, we can see the downtown, and the lake around us is beautiful, nice for a walk. All right, yeah. So so that's what I wanted to say about, I guess, why we should get a PhD in MSc and that in NC State. So I'll be here for the questions, and I'll hand over to Dr. Dagirvi.
Thank you, Professor Gupta. So welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining us, taking time out of your day. My name is Doug Irving. I'm a professor in material science and engineering. I've been here almost 20 years now, and I've been all over the United States, really have loved Raleigh. I think one of the main highlights that Professor Gupta hit on was NC State is really well positioned, and I'll show you more specifics with the department, to really provide a nice quality of life that I think is important to help you be productive towards advancing knowledge, which is really the ultimate goal of the PhD. And so one of the things I want you to walk away from the presentation today is not only are we situated in, I think, a vibrant city that has the Research Triangle Park that brings young professionals here. Often many people come here and stay here because of the desirable area to live. It brings in culture and everything else. But there's also facilities here that help you be productive as a graduate student, right? Because that's one of the important things. You're sort of driving that forward. So I hope it's with the Department of Material Science and Engineering. A little bit about us. We have 25 faculty members and growing. Many of them have won the highest honors, and some of these are listed here. I won't go through all of them. We are a growing department from grad student perspective as well. We're roughly 100 to 120 students total. And that number is going up as we add more faculty and as our research groups grow. We're a diverse department. Right now, about 40% of our graduates are female. Many of our fellowships, domestic students that, and internationals come in with some fellowships. Some of these are domestic related fellowships, but then all our researchers are usually well recognized at conferences. They get nominated and win prestigious awards, poster competitions as they present their research here at external conferences. So our department leadership, our department chair is Professor Don Brenner. Professor Yara Yingling is our associate department head for education. Professor Frankie So is our associate department head for research. I've introduced myself already. Hillary Stone works mostly with the undergrads, and then Miss Edna Dees is a wonderful coordinator who works tirelessly with our graduate students to help them navigate the university system. In fact, they don't have to worry about the logistics. Edna typically takes care of all of that. So our research areas, we have a wide coverage. Materials, as everyone, as you know, reaches out to many different areas. So from the structural materials, we've had a number of growths. We have strong connections across campus. Our Centennial campus that was noted by Professor Gupta has all of engineering. So we're buried in the middle of that, but we have strong structural materials, strong soft and biomaterials. Electronic and optical materials are our traditional strength of the department. Companies like Wolfspeed have emerged from our department. We have wonderful characterization facilities and strong characterization faculty. We have outstanding computational and materials informatics faculty, and then also energy materials is a strong and emerging area of the department that we'll talk about. Our faculty are broadly funded to support your research and your education by a number of federal agencies ranging from NSF all the way through the more applied Department of Defense funds. You can go to our website. I encourage everybody here to go to our website. I know some schools discourage people from talking to faculty, but I think it's important for students to initiate a conversation with faculty. They are sometimes busy, so don't be persistent and sort of reaching back out. But these are all the faculty in our department who you'll find on here. Our website lays out each area of research that the faculty is interested in, and it's nice to often find an overlap and find out what the current things going on in each faculty's research group as you're beginning to apply to the program. That does not mean you need to find an advisor before you come here. We certainly bring people in on teaching assistantships and fellowships, but also, it's good for you to know what your options are, and I often suggest trying to have interest or a broad interest in multiple different areas, because you never know who's getting a grant on what, and there may be new stuff that people haven't even worked on before. So I'm going to spend some time talking a little bit about our facilities. We have, I think, outstanding facilities. We have national leaders. Every time they come here, they're blown away with how these are run and what we have at NC State, and I wish you all were able to sort of see this, but I'll give you the PowerPoint version of this. So we'll talk more about the analytical instrumentation facility that's run by a professor in our department. Characterization is one of the central pillars of material science and engineering, and we have outstanding resources there. We have a large high performance computing facility. I've chaired the high performance computing facility committee when it existed, and I'm still a member of the oversight committee on the HPC, but we have wonderful computational facilities. One of my students made a nice image of defect centers for quantum applications. And I'll talk about a number of these other centers more. STEPS is a new one here. The data-enabled science and technology was an NRT. That is sunset, but a number of the capabilities that came from this, and this predated a lot of the push in materials informatics, is still around, and you'll see certificates that have emerged from this, courses that have emerged from this, and just a general culture of collaboration in this area. The CDP, which I won't talk about more later, so I'll mention now, is a integrated facility on dielectrics and piezoelectrics with Penn State University and also industry. So these are interesting projects if you're on a CDP project, because this really connects very closely to applied research, right? I mean, some research you work on is very basic, and that's important for understanding the fundamentals. But we also have the full spectrum that goes towards integrating and working with industry. And oftentimes those are much more focused and applied problems and finding solutions. And that helps people set up for careers in industry. The RTNN is actually a joint. It has the colors of the three major universities in the triangle. This is a joint institution that helps create a bridge was led by NC State, a bridge to the characterization facilities at UNC Chapel Hill and Duke University. And while I'm not here to talk about all the wonderful resources that are available at our neighboring schools, I will say, and I did mention, that one important thing for a PhD is maintaining productivity. One of the advantages of North Carolina State University and this bridge that we've created is if, say, a piece of characterization equipment goes down, this is a bridging grant that allows you to use characterization equipment across the universities in the triangle, right? So it's not often when a $5 million TEM is needing a part and needing some repair that you can go to a neighboring institution and use those facilities, but we have that here, and that's special for helping you stay productive, advancing the field forward, and ultimately, as you get into competitive research, sometimes timing is everything for those high-profile publications. So that is here, that helps. So a little bit about our characterization facilities. I'm lumping together things we have both in the MSc department and AIF. As I mentioned, one of the faculty members here chairs the AIF. This is our Titan microscope. We're actually investing in a new $5 million microscope. So this was state of the art, not a number of years ago, but we're going to have the next big TEM microscope coming in. We have wonderful SEM to look at woven. There's a College of Textiles, which is the #1 College of Textiles in the United States, that we have characterization equipment to sort of work on not only hard materials like metal alloys, but also soft materials and woven technologies. If you're interested in soft technology, we can pull back and look at broader structures, and most of these are all accessible. They're all shared facilities. So it's not just housed in one person's lab, but these are tools that are available to any research group. And we also have staff that works there. So if you don't know how to use that characterization equipment, they can either train you to use that, or you can have them take, if it's a one-off measurement, take the measurements for you and allow you to sort of move forward in your research. Camel is another interesting facility. So this is out of industrial engineering. It is in the neighboring building, the brand new building that Professor Gupta showed you. It is an additive manufacturing center, and we have strong ties. I know Professor Golani has a friction stir welder in here, but this is a facility that our students are engaged with. We're engaged with the members of CAMEL, and we have faculty that are members of CAMEL. And so if you're interested in advanced manufacturing for structural and inorganic materials, CAMEL's doing a lot of that. In fact, I think they're also starting to move into soft materials as well. If you're interested in looking at that facility, anyone can do it. They have an online tour that you can sort of walk through the facility, see the layout, see what equipment they have, and I encourage you to go online and look at those capabilities because they're quite impressive. Now, the next facility I want to talk to you about is this Hunt Library. And I know it seems a little bit silly because every university has a library, but this is a pretty amazing resource. And this is also right next door. It's the next building over from the building with CAMEL. The nice thing about this is, I mean, all the books are in the basement, and there's a book robot that you can see right here. Let me turn my laser pointer on right here. If you go and check out a book online, the robot pulls the bin, someone puts it on the shelf, and you're able to come and collect the book when you need it. But what that results in is you have multiple floors of functional space. And I think not only are there bright and open and modern areas to go and read, there are private rooms that graduate students can get into. I can't get into these rooms for you to go, say, work on a paper where you're not distracted by people coming through or asking things. It allows you to sort of stay focused, get into a different space, maintain that productivity, keep on going. There's beautiful outside views. This is the upper deck on the Hunt Library. There's also active building spaces. They have 3D printers. They have visualization centers. And if you're inclined to and have musical abilities, they have studios that you can record music, podcasts, videos, other things like that. So it allows you to keep moving and stay productivity, even if it's not towards your research. It allows you to have a little bit of a break. Now, if you're interested in semiconductor processing, we also have an NNF. This is a clean room technology where you can do processing of devices. This is another wonderful facility that you can take a look at when you come to visit here. And if you're interested in semiconductors, this is something that's on campus that we have available to our students. Okay, STEPS. STEPS is a major facility, and it's an NSF-funded science and technology center. It is a joint integrated center that brings a number of universities, and it's cross-disciplinary. So it brings in people from the ag sciences, the material sciences, the chemical sciences, and really what they're after is looking at phosphorus recapture. So phosphorus is in a number of our agricultural technology. This is led by Professor Jacob Jones, who's an MSc professor, and the co-chair is Professor Yara Yingling, both an MSc. But it's cross-cutting and goes across multiple disciplines. So if you're interested in this type of cross-cutting research, it exists. It's in this center. It's in the beautiful new Plant Sciences building, which is also on Centennial campus and right next door. So again, wonderful resources, wonderful science that's going on here. As mentioned before, there are a number of opportunities that people do beyond the lab. So the NSF I-Corps is particularly a funded project that our Office of Technology Transfer has funded. This is facilitates new discoveries in science and their transition to companies and technologies. And so I've had students go through this when they have an idea. I have professors go through this program. It helps bridge talking and pitching the idea, finding people that are more connected to how a business is run and funded. As the ideas build up, it helps find opportunities for funding for that business and really tries to leap that off. Hexatech was a company that came some time ago. It's one of the few aluminum nitride wafer substrates. And so these are thin slices of these wafers that go for about $5,000 per slice. This was funded out of the sort of the wide bandgaps group here. They have another company that we're not listing on here called Adroit Materials, which is now an epitaxy company. Third Floor Materials was more of an oxide epitaxy film, and we have more companies coming out each day. Beyond the entrepreneurship that's going on campus, we also have a course for people interested in opportunities. We have a very active student organizations, from the MRS to the SHIP to NSBE, and then SciBridge. And SciBridge is a unique program run out of Professor Augustin's group that does cross-training on photovoltaics and electrochemistry between the US and Africa. Now it's run mostly by our students, and it has meaningful connections where people go connect, and I think even research connections have spawned out of that. Our GSA is very active. So this is a student-run organization that advocates for grad students. It also creates social events for our grad students and our grad program. So last year we had a wonderful fall event. I think that was featured on the RSVP website. But they have a number of other programs that really help create a welcoming culture for our grad students, and a supportive culture. I think they've created a number of not only networking events, but also ones that have focused on graduate student mental health, which has become increasingly important. I do want to talk to you a little bit about admissions. Seeing as I am the DGP and sort of in the loop on how all this goes, I want to demystify some of it. I think the goal of the admissions committee is to try and find the best match between you and an advisor, right? And we really want everyone to be successful. And so what we look for in your application is attributes that would help you be successful here at North Carolina State. My goal would be that everyone that comes here and is admitted here would have a successful time here in both research that would lead towards graduation and ultimately a successful career. And so we're looking for attributes in that program to help identify, is this a good match for us, for you, and our research? So things that you can give us in there of match in your areas of research interest, your previous successes, your previous research experience, all help us sort of try and assess that, try and help you find the best match for you in that research process. It's okay if you don't know that. We have sort of seen skills and attributes of people, so don't be intimidated if you don't know exactly what you want to do. That's completely fine. I think we bring people in the first year in general funding so they can look at this. So we look at research experience. Your personal statement is important, especially if you don't have research experience. We look at your letters of recommendation, right, very carefully from people that have had experience working with you, both in the classroom, and if you had research experience, it's also important to get a perspective of how you work outside the classroom. And then, of course, grades, because there are academic bars that we have to meet based on the grad school requirements, but then also success here in the coursework is important. So we meet as a committee All applications are reviewed typically by more than one faculty member. We meet as a committee and discuss these and then decide on offers. And then we bring people in a combination of fellowships, TAs, and RAs, right? So RAs are if people have found a match with an advisor, the advisor might have available funding to bring you in straight away, but we also have funds for fellowships and TAs to bring you in that allow you to explore different areas of research within your first year here. Typical evaluation timeline. So I think our current deadline, I'll talk about in a little bit, but the first round, the priority deadline is in December. We do accept applications past that deadline, but we typically evaluate these as they come in. We first start at our early deadline, which I believe is December 8th this year, but we'll be assessing applications through this through this period. If you do submit later, especially past our January deadline, we still can review it, but you probably need to bring myself and Edna Dees into the loop that your application is pending. We do review these, but it's often good to get prompted to make us go look and see if new applications have been submitted. We try to turn these around pretty quickly, right? So December 8th is our deadline. We try to meet that December, right, and make decisions in December, but more commonly our letters are going out late December, maybe January at the earliest, and then through the spring semester is how we try to assess those applications. Our terms, our graduate terms and conditions are often set through conversations with the graduate school and the College of Engineering. Last year, our base salary was roughly around $33,000 with tuition and health insurance covered. Right now, we are not able to pay student fees, so that is something we factor into the stipend that you have, but we're hoping to solve that issue in the future. And I anticipate that this amount will go up with time, and because that's usually the trend, and that's usually what DGPs like myself are pushing for these to go higher to support the cost of living. Obviously, if fees are covered, that's also a direct raise to the students. Many students are interested in what the timeline for a PhD looks like. I want to go back to one slide and say one quick thing. I will say that when I talk about this base salary and the support, this is typically for PhD students. So most of our master's students are self-supporting. That doesn't mean that master's students don't get financial support, but you do not need a master's to apply for a PhD program. So if you're between the two, I would encourage strong applicants to apply for the PhD program because that's where the financial support is. But you are certainly welcome to explore the master's program. I just want people to know upfront that that program is typically a self-supporting, meaning that the student is responsible for the cost of living expenses as well as the tuition and fees. All right, so timeline for the PhD program. In your first year, I mentioned and talked a little bit about the application, so I won't stress that. Once you come in your first year, you're taking a few classes. You're also looking at different research groups. We encourage students to talk to faculty about doing rotations in groups in this sort of first year. You'll either be TAing or working directly in a group. You're taking about 2 to 3 classes. 3 classes is the full load towards your degree and knocking out the course requirements, which I'll talk about a little bit. You'll then start research probably in your first summer. In your second year, you're looking to try and finish up your classes. You'll be taking our qualifying exam, which has 2 parts. It has a general knowledge and a research proposal that is part of this. Once you pass that PhD qualifier, you become a candidate for the PhD. In your third year, you're starting to go and presenting your research at different conferences, meeting and networking. This is not only helping you grow the impact of your work, but it's also helping set up for what's beyond graduation. You're meeting people, you're networking, building a network going forward. Year 4 or 5, you're completing your research, you're writing your dissertation, you do your final defense, and then we have a happy hooding ceremony for your graduation in the department. So that's what that looks like. I'm not going to go through all this. This is posted on our website, but we do have very clear, defined course requirements. So if you're entering with a BS, there's 27 credit hours, 18 are at our grad level courses, with 9 in master's or PhD level courses in MSc or other related disciplines. So this gives you some freedom to tailor it. The other unique thing is we have spelled out, right, if you're coming in with a master's, you can transfer in up to 18 credit hours. Some of these, it's not specified, but it's specified for us that these will go towards your course credits, depending on whether you're coming in with a master's in material science or entering with a non-MSc, but technically related master's degree. So in this one, you have more flexibility and tailor because you already have experience in MSc. Here, if you're coming in with a non-MSc major, we want to make sure that you're instilled with the concepts of material science and engineering. As I mentioned, course load, some people do this differently. I would say most people take 2 to 3 classes per semester in the beginning and try to finish their classes in the first 2 years. Some students who get involved with research earlier might want to get started in research and tailor it. There's no set path on how you go through the courses for this degree. It is up to you what suits you best of how to meet those course requirements. But ultimately, keep in mind that what's shifting in a graduate degree is this is not a course-based degree. Most undergrad degrees, you're focused on classes and grades and of course, learning. Here, research is really the productivity that most employers look at, right? The number and the quality of your papers, right? Which is why, again, being able to be productive, having the facilities to help you be productive is an important part because that translates to you being successful in finding a career and opportunities past graduate school. Now, I mentioned the C's related NRT. This is one of the unique pieces, and this is not something, some people opt to get a non-thesis master's on the way. We also have graduate certificates that denote experience in a particular area, and one of those is this materials informatics graduate certificate. So this does not mean you have to take any additional courses. You can add this graduate certificate in informatics by just taking sort of select courses that fall within the map of those 27 credit hours before, and then you would be given this sort of grad certificate in informatics. And there's a number of benefits from salary, job postings in this area, which has become a hot area in material science. And I've noted, we're showing you some of the capabilities over here. This is in the Hunt Library Visualization Center where people are sort of pouring through data and working on this. So I hope I've shown you some of the many reasons to be interested in our program. I've mentioned our deadlines. This deadline for spring 24 has passed, but we are reviewing applications. The priority deadline is December 8th, which is coming up soon. But as I mentioned, we also accept applications after this deadline, and we will be doing another round of evaluations in early January. And even then, you can still submit something. I would say our priority deadline is the most focused on trying to guarantee support and funding for our students. So try to get those in, but if you're behind, I don't think it's we look at all the competitive students and try to make offers there. I will note that we do not require the GRE. I know and that's posted on the website, and that's a trend that we've continued to maintain. So that saves you some money from not needing to do the GRE in that. So that is what I have to say. I am around for the rest of the session. We're going to turn it over to the students, but if you have any Q&A for me, I'm happy to address that later.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. Yeah, it's a very comprehensive and detailed overview of our program. Thank you, Doug. So now it's time for our student panel. Okay. Today we are very pleased to have 4 outstanding PhD students from our department, and they will share with you about their experience as a PhD student in MSc department at NC State. Okay, so first, I think everybody's here, right? So right now, I want you to first introduce yourself. Richard, can you start? Okay.
So my name is Richard Gilman. I'm a first-year graduate student here in the Material Science and Engineering department. And my research interests are biomaterials, but I have not joined a research group yet. Right now, I am a teaching assistant.
Chrissy, can you go next?
Yes, I'm Christina Vilches. I'm a second-year PhD student and I'm in Dr. Yingling's group. So my research is focused on molecular dynamic simulations of nucleic acid nanoparticle assemblies.
Okay, Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matthew Chanel. I'm a fourth year PhD student. I'm sorry, I'm used to that. I'm a fifth year PhD student. I'm in Dr. Veronica Augustin's group. We do electrochemical energy storage. It's a very hands-on experimental group. And yeah, lithium ion insertion, proton insertion, catalysis, we do it all.
Okay.
Yeah, I can speak now. Yeah. Hi, I'm Benny. I'm a second year PhD student and I work with wide bandgaps group. So my professors are Ramon Criazo and Zlatko Satar, and we work on nitrides like aluminum nitride, gallium nitride. And I'm more focused on the material characteristic side.
Okay. So first, I think I will have a few questions to ask each of you. So first, Richard, I have a question for you. So Richard is currently a first year student, and he just joined our department in August. So Richard, can you share with us your TA experience? As you mentioned, you're currently on the TA position. And also, how do you look for your future research advisor during this time when you are a TA?
Yeah, so Professor Irving talked a lot about the options made in this department. Some students come in as a RA right away and are doing research in a group right away, and some are on fellowship, and some, like me, are a teaching assistant. So you are assigned a position, usually associated with a class in the material science department. So some of the duties that you might be assigned: grading homeworks for a class, grading tests for a class, grading lab reports, holding office hours for a class, or proctoring exams. And the duty that I'm assigned is holding lab sessions for a lab class. I hold lab sessions for a upper level undergraduate material science class, where I do 2 sessions a week, which are about 2 hours long, and I go through the lab with the students, and then I also grade their reports, and I'll answer any questions that they have about the lab. So this opportunity to be a TA is very helpful because I spend about 20 hours in total a week with all of my duties, and it really helps familiarize yourself with the material science department and the coursework for the undergraduate material scientists. And it also gives you time to look for a research group to join and continue your PhD doing research. The way that you would search for a research group, Professor Irving also talked about the website, and faculty are listed on the website with their research groups and the research that they do. So what I've been doing to find a research group is do my research on the website to look for groups that have research that align with my interests. And then I reach out to those professors and meet with them and tour their labs and talk with them about the possibility of joining their research group. That's my answer to that question.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Okay. So now I have another question for Benny.
Yes.
Okay. So Benny is currently a second year PhD student in our department. And Benny, you're from Taiwan, right? I guess it's a big transition for you to live in an entirely different country. So for that, can you share with us your living experience in the United States, particularly in Raleigh?
As the professor said, I'm from Taiwan and I have never been to the US before I came here. So it's very different to live here. So for me, like just from a practical point of view, like the salary here from my RA and TA-ship, that covers all my living expense, including like rent, food, clothes, all that stuff, and also transportation. So yeah, I would like to give a brief breakup on those numbers. So for example, like my rent is around here, the rent is around 800 to 1,000 a month, and depends on where you live. And the next thing is food, groceries. It costs me like $700 per month. And if you add that number up, you still get like a few $100 for other things. So I would say if you have a TA-ship or RA-ship as a PhD student, as a PhD student, that's like enough for you to live here without, you don't need to consider like other things. Do you need to work part-time otherwhere else? That's good enough. Yeah, and another thing is transportation, because not all international students, they will get a car here. So like for example, for me, I don't have a car and I'm not planning to get a car here because like the school's Wolf Line, the school's bus, it's good enough to let me get to class, get to work, and get to the school's gym, get to somewhere that I can eat and buy food, the supermarket. And I would say another thing is if you can get a bike or like electrical scooter, electrical thing, that will be even more convenient. That makes you don't need to, it's not necessary to get a car here from my point of view.
Okay, thank you, Benny. Okay. So I have another question for Chrissy. Okay, Chrissy, you are also a second year student. I know you recently passed your qualifying exam, right? I guess maybe the audience will be curious to know your experience about the qualifying exam. Can you share your experience with us?
Yeah, so there are two parts, like Dr. Irving mentioned, and since I have only taken part one so far, I can really only speak to that. But I believe part two is going to be changing anyway. So the first part is usually taken at the beginning of your third semester, and that's the general knowledge part, and it's a 30-minute oral exam. When you first join the program, you're given a list of 181 questions that cover like a range of topics within MSE, and they can ask you any of those during the exam as well as any follow-up questions. It doesn't have to be like a huge daunting thing though, as long as you start preparing early, at least like the beginning of the summer before you take it, or a few months before if you're taking it in January. A big thing that helped me is just working in groups. Since the cohorts are pretty small, like most people know each other, and so just getting together all to study is super helpful, helps you stay on track, and it also gives you the ability to like quiz each other and ask each other follow-up questions that you think could be asked during the exam. And then for us, some of the previous MSc grad students who had already taken it arranged these mock exams for us the week before, so we were able to get some practice just being up at the board in front of others. So I think as long as you kind of stay connected with people, it doesn't have to be like a huge daunting thing. But it was good in general, especially if you come like me from a background that's not MSc, to be able to get that general knowledge. It helps when going to seminars and things like that to understand more what people are talking about outside of your own research.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Chrissy. Okay, so we just hear about the qualifying exam. We know there's another exam each PhD student need to complete in order to get their degree here, which is a prelim exam. So next we'll go to Matthew, who's currently a fifth-year student. Matthew, I think you have already taken your pre-lim exam, right? Can you share with us your experience about it?
Yeah, so like was mentioned, I took my preliminary exam within the timeline that Doug kind of laid out. It took it at the end of my third year, although the timing on that one is a little flexible. And whereas I would say the qualifying exam is a content exam, do you understand material science? The prelim exam is really asking, do you understand your research? And it kind of marks the transition between like I'm a student and I'm studying and I'm doing research to I'm going to do my research full time now, and I'm really embarking on really like the second half of my PhD, and I'm going to be really diving into all these questions that I'm going to try to answer in my thesis. So it's definitely it can be intimidating because the way it works is almost like a mini defense almost, because you do get up and you present your research plans to your committee, and that'll be a full presentation, and then after that they have Q&A with you as long as they kind of deem as necessary to ask you questions to make sure that you understand what you're doing and that they have confidence in you taking your research plans forward. So it's like I said, it can be intimidating, but it's also, I think, really important. And the prep that I did for that exam really set me up to understand what questions am I trying to answer in my research before I graduate. Don't worry too much about it. It's an important part, but it's also not impossible. It's very doable and very important part of your degree process.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Okay, so first I see some participant raising their hand. So just want to let you know we have the option to type your question in the chat box. So we will answer them all together at the end of the session today. So you just need to type your question in the chat box, okay? Okay, so far we have talked about mostly exams. So I guess there is something more than that, right? For the PhD students in our department. As Professor Irvin mentioned, we have some student organizations. I guess we will also have some social activities on campus, particularly for our department. So now I will turn to Chrissy. Can you share with us the available social activities on campus for the graduate students in our department?
Yes, so as we've already talked about, our department has a great grad student association that has events throughout the semester. And that's just a good chance to get to hang out outside of research at school and get to spend more time with each other and get to know the people in the program in a more relaxed environment. But even outside of the department, a lot of people like myself like going to the sporting events. We have pretty good basketball and football teams here at NC State. So it's a good way if you go to those games to just kind of unwind and also feel more connected to the school, because at Centennial we can sometimes feel, I think, a little disconnected. But the tickets for the games are free, and there's also buses to get there, so it's very accessible. There's also other groups within the department outside of the Grad Student Association that are not formal groups. I see a lot of people organizing smaller groups for activities like volleyball, soccer. I've even seen like Dungeons and Dragons groups or like Magic the Gathering. So there's like all kinds of interests within the department, and it's not difficult to find people with similar interests. One of the benefits also of a smaller department like material science is that with these smaller cohorts, everybody kind of gets to know each other. And for me, in the time that I've been here, everyone's been really friendly. I think the environment here is really great and supportive. And like I said, there's that variety of interests. So it's not difficult to find other people in the department with similar hobbies.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Chrissy. I think now we are going to start our Q&A. So because now we already have a number of questions in our Q&A, I'm going to call some of those questions. I guess we have lots of questions about the application. So probably we will have Professor Irvin to answer some of them. Okay, so I'll call one of the question first. So, okay, so the first question from the audience is, currently I'm working on one review paper in my master thesis. I would like to know if they are not printed by the deadline. will sending their manuscript be effective in the application process? Professor Arvin, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, I think the important thing would be adding the manuscript and the title and in preparation to your CV, just to indicate that you're working on that review article, and that's one way of doing it. If you have depending on where you are in a draft, I mean, a draft is an option, but you can always email myself and Miss Diaz the draft when it's ready. I will say that depending on when you submit your application, it might be reviewed by the admissions committee. The admissions evaluation will depend on when the committee reviews that, but we certainly can update any application materials if we know they're coming. So I would just say keep us in the loop. It's always good to communicate. But yeah, I would say the most important thing would be add it to your CV so we know it's coming.
So our next question is, please answer, do we need a faculty member acceptance before we can apply to the graduate program? I think the answer is no, you don't have to, right?
No.
Another question is there application fee waiver for prospective graduate students? I think multiple people ask this question about the waiver. Yeah.
Yeah, at this, I mean, we're working on that. I mean, I think the funds that we have for the waiver, I mean, this is not a fee the department, I mean, we don't get any of the money from the application fee, so it doesn't come to the department. I would love to waive all of them if I could. I don't have the resources to be able to do that broadly. So I have very limited funds to do that is the reality. So in some situations, yes, but in most situations, no.
Thank you, Doc. Another question. Okay, I think I can answer this one. Does funding come with the acceptance, or and is it the student's responsibility to find their research group and the position, or does the department specify which research group the student belongs to and with which professor they will work with? I think, yeah, as you hear from our students, yeah, I think the student will need to find their research advisor, right?
Can I think there's a different, so all our offers that go out for PhD have funding associated with them, period. So the answer is no, you don't need to do that. You're not assigned to a research group. It's not that I pick and say, you're going to work with Professor Zhu or Professor Gupta. I think we provide funding in the first year for you to come in and help find a match. There is a student responsibility to, once you're here, to meet with professors, find out the projects, find out what's available. But all our initial offers come with an offer of funding, and that you do not need to track down yourself. If you do track down something that you like and you talk to a professor and you're very interested in that project, by all means, you can come in via an RA, and then it's sort of a guaranteed path. But some people want that freedom and flexibility to come in and talk to people. But all our initial PhD offers, unless you're coming in with a funded, we do have some people funded, say, by their home country, unless you're coming in with some scholarship or fellowship that you've earned, then all our PhD offers go out with some funding.
Thank you, Doc. Okay, next question is about the conference. Are conference expenses covered by any financial aids? Okay, so I would say for my student to travel for conferences, I will cover their all the fees through my research grants. I guess Matthew, you have lots of conference experience as well, right? Do you want to briefly share?
Yeah. So typically this is something that you would discuss with your PI, because they may have some kind of funding that they have budgeted for conference travel when they wrote their grant. But additionally, there's also funding support available through different like small, I think it's fellowships, but basically the one I know of off the top of my head is the Graduate Student Association has 2 different awards that you can apply for. And it's a good amount of support if you're trying to go to your first conference, or there are funding resources available, but you do have to apply for them.
Thank you, Matthew. Okay, another one also about the application is English proficiency exam required to apply for our program. If we have one, what's the cutoff score for those exams?
Yeah, I can comment on that. So I will say that all the score requirements on the international proficiency exams are set by the graduate school. And so simply Googling NC State Graduate Handbook, it's in section 2.4. I'll put the link in the chat. There are requirements for that. There's minimum requirements for admission. And there are also minimum requirements for TA, and that typically ties to the speaking score. We accept a number of scores from TOEFL to IELTS to Duolingo, and everything else. And all those scores are sort of posted. I don't have all those committed to memory. I think TOEFL total score has to be above 80 for admission. I think the IELTS has to be above a 6.5 band score. The Duolingo has to be above 110. And I don't remember the individual speaking scores. There are sometimes minimums on each of those bands. I would say if your total score is above average, above the minimum, and you're lower on one of the bands, it's probably still fine to justify that. But those are published, those are decided and published by the graduate school at North Carolina State. And I'll put the link in the chat just so we can take a look at that. Everyone can take a look.
Okay, next question also about the application. Will I be able to send supplemental application materials, like an updated transcript after the priority deadline, for example, within a week after the deadline?
So I would say that if you're submitting in the priority deadline, I think our goal is to meet shortly after that. So as long as I know it's coming, I think we can factor that in. But I mean, again, it lines up with the time at which we have the committee reviewing that, but certainly keep me in the loop, keep Miss Edna Diaz in the group, and we will get that in the package. I think you can submit it. You can send it directly to me via email, but I think it also, I'm not as familiar with the applicant side of our application system. You may be able to update the application, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, for all means, you can send it directly to me and Edna, and we'll get that in your package. But try to submit it through the Slate application system as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another question about GRE. So as GRE is not required, will GRE scores be taken on account by admission committees too?
So I would say that the general view of that is, I mean, if you knocked it out of the park on the GRE scores and you want to submit it, they're not required. But if you think it makes a strong case for your application, by all means, submit it. But you are not required to submit it in any way. And yeah, I think that's fair to say. It's up to you.
I think we also have a question about what are the chances of collaborating with national laboratories while studying this program? Okay, I can briefly talk about this one. So for example, currently in my group, we have those user proposals submitted to different DOE national labs. For example, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, Oak Ridge National Labs. So I would say, for example, the student from my group will have lots of opportunities to work on site in those labs by submitting user proposals. So it's definitely possible, and we also have lots of opportunities. Okay, another question. I want to know whether there is a plan to increase the number of African students in the department. I don't see any of that covered in the session. Doc, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Can you repeat that, please? The question? I was typing more towards the international application language question. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. So he said, I want to know whether there's a plan to increase the number of African students in the department. I don't
so from continental Africa?
Yeah, from Africa.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Martin Thuo, who is pictured in there here, has a number of ties. I think he's chairing the African MRS. And so I've had a number of discussions where we've talked to entities in Africa. I think Professor Augustin has strong ties with research universities in Africa. We are looking for talented students regardless of where you are from and your background. And I would say that we've had increased applications coming from Africa and increased admissions coming from Africa. I will say that yeah, I mean, if you have a passion for material science, and I wouldn't say that we're focused on any one particular country or continent, but we're trying to find the most talented students in material science that are a good match for our department. And certainly Africa is one place that we are looking with increased focus.
I think we still get lots of questions about the application fee waiver. I think that has been covered. Okay. I think we probably will go with just one more question here, given the limited time we have. So what happens if I send 2 TOEFL scores? Do you consider the highest overall, or a combination of the highest scores on each section?
That's a good question. I think I would consider probably the highest of the 2. I don't know if we super score TOEFL scores, but I would need to check with the graduate school on their requirements. Certainly, if you demonstrate, if you had a deficiency in one and you do better on it the next time you take it, that is certainly a means for, I mean, writing a justification on my end that says, hey, look, clearly they've demonstrated above a minimum on this one. And we have some flexibility. It's just that if you're not above everything, it requires a justification for admission that we have to send to the graduate school. So I would provide full context of that, but certainly your highest score for sure. Whether we super score, I would need to check.
I guess let's cover maybe one more question. Can
Sure.
you please tell us about the open house program? Because I think we will have the open house, right, in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice program where we actually have people on campus. I mean, it's not, we are not paying for people to come visit. We are opening our doors. We are planning for visitors to come. So we have some planned events. There will be elements of the talk that you saw here, but we're also going to walk people through some facilities, provide an opportunity to meet with some of the faculty, provide the opportunity to meet with some of our graduate students, and just sort of show you around the campus and show you in person, I think, the impressive facilities that we have here. Here, and I think there's also a dinner provided that will provide a more casual social environment. So it's I think starts around 3 and it ends around 7, but it's as much as you can fit in 4 hours, we're attempting to fit in, while at the same time allowing for some flexible time for you to explore and see campus.
I think we have covered most of the questions. I also try to answer them by typing them in the Q&A. Okay, so since now it's already 10:43, I think okay.
Can I add one last thing? Yeah. So for the person who asked me about the international testing scores, I will note that those are waived if you've gotten a master's in the US. So you don't need the language scores or they're waived if your primary country education is taught in English, and all of those countries are listed in the grad handbook. That's why I provided a link to the grad handbook, and that's what I was typing up and distracted by. But certainly take a look at the grad handbook. All of that stuff is published and open access to let you know how we look at what the minimums are and how we assess applications.
Okay, so for the questions we have, does anyone still have anything to add? Any comment or anything else? Okay. If no, I think we will probably close our session soon. Again, thank you very much for joining the virtual info session today. And also thank everyone come here to share your experience, our faculty and the students. So if there is any question that's not answered by any chance I missed anything, please feel free to just email us. We will try to answer your question by email in more details. But hopefully today's session will be helpful for you when you apply to the PhD program at NC State. Okay, so I think we will close this session now. And so have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.